I'm going to spend the next few minutes discussing how to create a rolling fog using a fluid container. So first things first, what we need to do is actually go in there and create that container. So it's going to be a 3D container. We'll just leave it as it is for now, and I'll go through the examples, how to get this all working. So I'm going to disable the grid for now. First thing we need to do is in the fluid shape node is go to the container properties. We're going to disable the keep voxel square. We're going to keep the base resolution for X, Y, and Z at a very low resolution just for testing. Right now you're not seeing anything, obviously, one, because we don't have any emitter. We're not going to use an emitter, and we're just going to have static density. So we're going to set it to a gradient. So we'll just have it like that. Next thing we're going to do is go into our... Ooh, I forgot to disable the rest of it. So if I go to velocity and temperature, make sure everything's at static. We're not going to be using any dynamic attributes since we're going to use expressions to drive the fog with the texture. Next thing we need to do is actually go down to your surface area. We're actually going to be focused on the shading here, so we can control things like transparency and so forth. I won't focus on this just yet. What I am going to do is actually start looking at these options here for color drop-offs and so forth to try to get the look that we want. So I'm going to set everything to a Y gradient, except this one as well. And incandescency, we're actually going to disable this, just keep it black. And finally, for opacity, we're going to once again change it to a Y gradient, and we're going to try to get the look that we want here. So you can see that moving the widget around, you can get different looks that we want. This is not going to be final because we still need to go add a texture to give us the look that we want for the actual fog, but you can see that what we're starting to get here. So you can have a better fall off like so. If I actually want to render this right now, we can get a quick look of what this is now. So next thing we want to do is obviously just maybe change the color a bit here. Oops. I'm going to give it a bluish, grayish type of color, like so. You can control the transparency now if you wanted to. Next thing I'm going to do here is turn on the texture opacity. And now you can actually see we're starting to get an actual Berlin noise texture put onto this fog, so you actually start getting the look of the fog that we actually want. So that's what the render looks like just in my software. So there's a few settings that you have to play with. This will depend on the user and what they're actually trying to get. I find that a 0.9 for the texture gain is probably something nice. And finally, what I want to focus on here is probably the most important element here is actually getting the animation, the rolling of the fog. So we can use texture time. So there's obviously just a texture applied to this to give you the look, and we can actually animate that fractal in time. So you can see that just animating the slider, we get the effect of rolling fog, or just at least fog that's moving. Now, if I went to hit play, nothing would happen. So I have two options. I either keyframe this, or I set an expression to this that will automatically animate it for me, so I don't have to think about it. And I can actually control the speed of my rolling. So what I'm going to do is just set this back to 1. Just leave it as default for now. And I want to create an expression to this. So go to create expression by right-clicking on the field, once again, just to show you. And what I want to do here is, you can see I have my fluid shape texture selected. So essentially I'm going to create a texture on this. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I generally like typing out the full attribute. So fluid shape is the node, and the attribute is texture time, and we're applying an equal to this, and the value is going to be time. So we're going to multiply whatever value by 0.2 in this case, and we can modify this as we go along. So I'm going to hit create on this, and you can see now our attribute has turned purple, which means there's an expression connected to it, and you can see you get some animation on it. It's only 24 frames, but you increase this. So I set it to 0.2, so the multiplication of that value will always be times 2. I can edit this expression and the higher the value, the faster the animations are going to be. So if I set it to, let's say, 2 and go to edit, you can see that in my viewport it's going to be moving a lot quicker. If I render this animation, it probably wouldn't look as accurate. You want a nice slow fog, so that's why we lower the values in the expression. So setting it to 0.2 seems to be a nice value, at least for what I'm showing here. You could turn things on like self-shadowing and so forth, just to give you a different look, I guess. And finally, if you're going to render this, you can see what that looks like. And that's the basics of it. So you got an animation working for you, so you can see what that looks like. If you were to apply, I don't know, select the camera, create an image plane. I'm just going to quickly grab an image here of Toronto skyline. A little cheesy, but it works. I'm just going to set the resolution gate here. So what I can do at this point is line up the fluid node, like so. And if I hit render on that, we can start getting an idea what that looks like if it was in that landscape. So there we go. It looks like we have some fog over water. I haven't created any clouds or anything, so you wouldn't see them move, but I do have a final animation of what that would look like. It's not the most accurate, but you can, just focus on the water area. You can see what that actually looks like. So it looks like we have some nice fog just moving along, rolling along the top of the water. And that's pretty much it. That's just the basics of getting the fog rolling. You could, if you want to get a little more creative, you can create another fluid node that would give you a different atmosphere. So not only you got this rolling fog along the bottom, but you also get this nice little fog just in the sky. In this case, if I had a nice skyline without any clouds, maybe I can even create another fluid node with actual clouds moving along the sky. We do provide some examples. If you actually go to your visor, once this loads, and you go to fluid examples, you can actually see clouds and fog. So there's a bunch of examples here that you can use as templates to get the looks that you want. So either whether it's going to be clouds or even, I think there's a fog one here, sky fog. There's one right there, and there's a rolling fog here as well. So you can use them both. Check out the attributes. It's the best way to get up to speed with the fluid nodes and how to use them. That's pretty much it.